Okay. All right, all right, all right. So now I'm using StreamYard. Let's see if I can do this real quick. There it is. See what happens. Let's see. This is really cool. Hi, everybody. Okay. All right. I am both live on Instagram as well as YouTube through StreamYard, and both is on simultaneously. And hopefully, it is working perfectly. Let's see if I can get this situated here. Okay. Now I need to see how if I can see the comments. Now the only thing with StreamYard is that I'm unable to see the comments. So let's do this. So I'm a work in progress, you guys, because I don't think I'm able to see the comments on StreamYard. That's the only thing. So I'm a work in progress, you guys. Oh, let's see. Uh, the setup is different when it's on StreamYard. Okay, I see something on um I do see something on YouTube. Hi, Mr. Overett. I do see something on YouTube. So you guys, we are a work in progress. I'm learning, and you guys are learning with me. So I'm learning as I go along here. So I'm trying to figure this thing out right along with you guys. So we are all a work in progress. But what I'm about to do now is, let me see if I can do this. See if this works. Um, Let me see. I don't think this works. Let's see if I can do this. Because we're gonna get it together. And let's see if I can do it this way. Nope. Now I wonder if you guys, so are you able, it doesn't fill the screen, it makes it smaller. Now, see, the thing of it is, Mr. Obert, is that I was trying to. Now, are you able to see? Um, are you able to see it on? Um, are you able to see it on? Yeah, it is much smaller. It's way smaller. It's way, 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 way smaller. But are you able to see it on Instagram? Because it looks bigger on Instagram than it does on. Hi, Assault Khan MIT. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for being in the discovery phase of my experience on YouTube with StreamYard. I'm grateful. Gratitude for your presence in our growth. I'm grateful. Is it how does it look on how does it look? You can enlarge by touching and spreading. Can you? Okay, let's try. No, it's not letting me do it. Oh, ooh, I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's not allowing me to do it. And also too, it's not even showing that I'm live. Let me see. Let me see if I go to let's see if I go here. Okay, so if I do that. Now see the thing of it is is that I was okay, let's see. Okay, now I can see. So let's do this. Let's do this. So now I can see who's coming up. Let me get another tripod. Hold on. Okay, so I might have to use another tripod to see what you guys are saying on the live and just use another device because it's the only way I'm going to be able to see. Okay, so all right, so now I do see golden sugars here. See, that's the thing with StreamYard. So I see that golden sugars here. Um, but that's the only thing with that. I only can see that golden sugar is here, and I don't know who else is here. That's the only thing. I can't really tell who is here and who's not here. And okay, so golden sugar is here. So and then also myself is here. So that's the weird thing about it. All right, so my goal was to just get it to where you guys are able to see um the board. Okay, I wanted you guys to be able to see the board in on the right side. So it's like I'm fixing one thing, but then it's creating another issue. So we're gonna work on it. So let me try to see if this works. I don't know if that'll work. All right, Mr. Ulrich, let me know if this is better. Let me know if this is better. If you're able to see it. I don't know if that's better, if me moving it in this way is better. Because I'm just trying to position it in a way where let me see. Position it in a way where you guys can see the board. It looks good. It looks better on this way. Okay, so this is going to be, and then let me see. All right, and then, all right. Yeah, see how that goes. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna work it out. I'm gonna work it out. Yeah, it's small. I don't know how I'm going to you can see you in all of the board. Okay, so on YouTube side, you're able to see me in all of the board. And let me see. Let me see if I do it like this. Okay. See if that works. Okay. All right. So are we good now? Are we? Is it a thumbs up now? Let me see what we got here. All right. The only thing is that I have to go here in order to see what the words are and everything like that. That's the only thing. All right. Because the StreamYard doesn't give me any interactions and different things of that nature. And even on the side here, it's kind of hard for me to see what it's saying on the Mr. Over said he gave me a thumbs up. And let me see what Golden Sugar and everybody are saying. Okay, so I don't see what Golden Sugar is saying on, because I do have my thing up on my side, but I can't see the comments or anything like that or what have you. So I'm just gonna go ahead and work it. All right. All right, so you guys, welcome. Thank you for working with the technical difficulties and everything. Hey, Golden Sugar. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, beautiful. Welcome. Thank you for being here on this continuum of What Are You Broadcasting, the 360-degree you in divine wholeness. Yes, the 360-degree you. I haven't had a chance to upload the first video that I did in wholeness up onto the YouTube because I've had some things, but I'm going to bridge that into what I'm going to do today. But we're going to talk about some things in that first video. I kind of like gave you guys the prelude into the birthing into the experience, and now I'm going to talk about the current experience back onto the ninth dimensional you. But what I did on the last video is the pre-you coming into the experience. The ninth dimensional you that knows about that predetermined the experience prior to coming into the incarnation, into the experience, that pre-coded yourself in knowing before coming into the experience, that predestined yourself prior to coming into the experience. So this is the what is it called? Like the before you decided to go into the amnesia state, right? So that was the ninth, the eighth, the seventh, and the sixth dimensional you. But what we're going to talk about now is the third dimensional you, the fourth dimensional you, the fifth dimensional you, and the sixth dimensional you, which is the 360-degree you that brings you back onto the ninth dimensional you, which is the 360-degree you. We're going to talk about that today. And we're going to bring into some other things to bring you guys into the sense of coming out of survival state of being. So the wholeness aspect of everything is to bring you back into the understanding, overstanding of how to migrate and vibrate out of the survival state. Which I'm going to bring a sense of understanding that the survival state is not to say that it's a bad or good state. It is just an experience. And I think once we begin to understand it in its proper context, that it's neither bad or good, it's just a chosen experience of the divine self. You are an aspect of the divine self that chose to, to forget self, to experience this state of being. And it's just about recalibrating yourself energetically out of that state of being into the dimensional self that no longer have to experience that state of being in that calibration of energy. And it's through divine remembrance. The remembrance is just a little bit of a phase that you go through to get you into your aspect of divine knowing, which is will get you back into the essence of divine being, right? The knowing will eventually. So the remembrance is only a temporary phase. Okay. So when you hear about the divine remembrance, it's only a temporary phase that you go through to get you reacclimated energetically back into divine knowing. So yes, there's a plethora of stories that are out there that you can pick, choose, and refuse. But it's all energetically based. It just depends on what you resonate with in terms of how that's going to commence itself into being. Okay. Um, just 1 second. Let me see. Hold on just a second. Let's see. Um, But I just wanted you guys to understand that no story is a bad or a good story. It just depends on how you are resonating with the story energetically and what kind of mostly define, what kind of mostly defines you to get you to that next level. Okay. So it's not a bad or it's not bad or good. It's just how you are resonating energetically at that time and point in time uh, to get you to the next level. Okay, to get you to the next level. So we talked about the ninth, eighth, we talked about the ninth, the eighth, the seventh, and the sixth dimensional you, right? So now, and so let me the breakdown of the ninth, the eighth, the seventh dimensional you. This is always the knowing consciousness of knowing. This is always the consciousness, right? Forgive my spelling. This is always the consciousness that knows, right? And let me know if you guys can see what I'm writing here, so that you guys can let me know if it's visible, where I can make adjustments to the camera so that you guys can see. Okay, because I want you guys to be able to see it. So this is all consciousness and knowing. Okay, this is consciousness and knowing. Okay, and as I told you guys before, this is when, before you come into the incarnate, this is the pre determination of how you're going to crystallize and come into form, whether it's going to be your fifth dimensional self or your third dimensional self. Okay, your third dimensional self. So these are all the form, the information. Okay, this is all in, it's like in formation, which equates to being in form, right? So this is all crystal data, right? This is all crystal data. As a matter of fact, this is all crystal light data, right? Which is light information. Right? So all of this is light information. Okay. Let me know if you guys are able to see what I'm saying. On Instagram, let me know if you're able to see me. At Mr. Orbit on YouTube, let me know if you're able to see me. Okay. And everybody that's on And welcome to everybody that is on YouTube. Thank you for, participating on YouTube. I'm so divinely grateful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this is all energy. So this is all fluid energy. Okay? This is all of your source energy. All of this, this is consciousness that is in knowing, right? Pure knowing, and this is wholeness, okay? And this is all your H7s and six dimensional self. This is your six dimensional self is I know I can't spell architect, but I'm just going to do, this is the art, right? This is the art or the architecture of the creative design, the creative self, right? Let me see if you guys can see it. All right, so you guys can be able to see it. Okay. Let's see. All right. So I just want you guys to know the 360-degree view. The board does cut off on the right here. Okay. I don't know. Is that better? Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to find a better way. I'm gonna have to try to find a better way. Just that's perfect. Okay. 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 All right. All right. So the 360-degree view. And once again, this is quantum simplified. Okay. I'm doing quantum simplification so that you could better understand yourself on how to ascend out of the third dimensional you. But this is basically how you understand how the formation actually comes into form. So this is the descensional matter. And then now we're going to now go back into the ascensional matter. So this is the descend. This is the descend, right? And now we're going to go and understand the ascend in the 360-degree U. Okay? Okay? We're going to go to the ascend in the 360-degree U. Okay? All right? That blue banner at the bottom needs to be removed. Okay, so how do I remove it? I have no idea how that comes into part because this is my first time using Streamyard, Mr. Over. So let me see, how do I do that? Let me see. Is this it? Okay, no, that's not it. Okay. And see, that's the thing. See, that's the thing. I don't know. It doesn't it doesn't tell me. So I'm gonna have to probably get somebody just making you aware. Maybe it won't be there when you upload the video. Yeah, it probably will be, Mr. Holbrook. Minimal. Okay. Block. Minimal. Um. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to ban. Delete. Okay. All right. So I don't know. I'm not sure. you guys, I'm testing as I go along. I have no idea. So I'm playing with it, Mr. Over. I don't know. I don't know how to click on. Let me see. Oh, okay. Okay. I think I'm back. Would you have to start the live over? I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I think I'm back now. I think I'm back. I think I'm back now. I don't know what I did, but I think I'm back. I don't know what I did, but I think I'm back. Okay. So I just wanted, okay, so I think I'm back now. It's just that it's just a little awkward because it's not wide. It's not, I know that I'm probably, um, yes, we're back. Okay, great, great. It's just that it's not wide and I don't know what I'm doing on, on the thing, but we're going to figure it out. It's trial and error because my goal was to be able so that you guys can see it in the right way. But you fix one thing and then it creates a whole nother issue. So, well, we're gonna work with it. Okay. So as I said, the first video was telling you guys how to come into an incarnation, right? It was telling you how to come into the incarnation. Okay. So now we're going to talk about how we're going to ascend back into the knowing. Okay. So this is when you decided to incarnate, to descend. So your ninth dimensional self, and this is what the last video was talking about. The ninth dimensional self, the consciousness in knowing, right? The eighth dimensional self is when it organized itself how it wanted to come in knowing into the incarnation, the information, right? The information, the crystal light data, the light information that it created to be to come in form, to be able to come in form either in the fifth dimensional self or the third dimensional self, so that it could project this information, this light information, the crystallized light information to project into form. And so what we're going to talk about is your 3D self, okay? Your third dimensional self, your fifth dimensional self, and how remembrance is temporary. The remembrance is temporary. It is just a temporary state to get you back into your knowing, okay? The knowing of you, right? And we're going to begin to understand the third dimensional you to shift you out of, the survival state and what that looks like, how that come into commencement, and all this other kind of stuff to gradually shift you back into that calibration of energy into your fifth dimensional state. So now we're going to ascend. This is your descension, the ninth dimensional consciousness into, and how that comes into form. And we're going to talk more into how that commences. And this is why I say this is the 360 degree you. Okay, this is the wholeness of you. And we're going to get, and then that way when you listen to the stories, you'll be able to fit all of these stories, every story that you hear, you'll be able to fit it into this formula that I'm about to give to you guys. Every story that you hear, you'll be able to fit it into this formula that I'm about to give you guys, from the dissensional aspect of self to the ascensional aspect of self. You'll be able to fit it into this formula, okay? All right. So now that was the first video. The first video was you creating, you were pre-dattering yourself to come into the ascension. So let me give you one more thing too, right? Your pre-data ascension, your pre-data descension into form can also be a part of an experience that you may have previously also incarnated from into another experience, right? So you may hold crystal templates or data templates, and you may come into another experience housing those data templates, and have a continuum of an experience in human form too as well. But that's a whole nother conversation or whatever. But we're just going to go ahead and just go ahead and start from the knowing of self, pre-coding self to come into the experience, being birthed pre-coded in knowing, and then whang whang, I'm here, I'm a baby, or whang whang, I'm waking up into a reality out of a coma, whang whang. You're pre-coded right into knowing, or a deep sleep that they say Adam went into and he woke up and Eve was on his side. We can go into many different narratives about how the pre-coding come into existence from a dissensional aspect of being. But I'm just going to stick with what we kind of are already familiar with you coming into the incarnation, you're poured through your mother's womb, you transition from one vibrational state into another vibrational state, and then you become acclimated to the experience from the either the fifth dimensional lens or the third dimensional lens in form. Okay. Let me know from, I can see it on this device. Let me know if you guys understand, overstand so far what I am saying from a quantum simplified perspective, by putting in, um, I'm going to just go ahead and say the fifth dimensional you, the 5D you. Let me know if you understand, overstand. while I erase this. All right. Okay. I don't see anybody saying anything. Is that pink? Oh, this one was kind of like. Okay. All right. So now we're going to about to be fully present in a few minutes. Okay, Mr. Over. All right. So now we are in the third dimensional you. Okay. So when we were at the ninth, remember the ninth dimensional consciousness is always knowing. Okay. The ninth dimensional consciousness is always knowing. Okay. And so we're now going to go through an ascensional. We're going to go through an ascensional. Okay, so we're ascending. Okay, so we're going to go through the 3, the 6, and the 9, right? So the 3 and the 6 equal the 9. But the 3 and the 6 is going to bring you back to the 0 point with the 3 and the 6 is going to bring you back to the 0 point, which is the ninth dimensional you. So when you do the 3 and the 6, which brings you to 0 point, so 3 and 6 is 9. So if you do 3, 6, and 0, you still, when you reduce it, you still get 9. So that's how you get back to the ninth dimensional you. Okay? This is how you get back to the ninth dimensional you, the 360-degree you, which is, the completion. Okay? This is how you get back to the 90 you. And this is the ascended version of you, the third dimensional you, the sixth dimensional you. Okay? It's going to get you back to the knowing. So, like I said, remember, this is, I'm going to put this right here. Let me see. I'm going to put this, I'm going to put it right here. Quantum simplified. Okay? So we're doing quantum simplified. Okay? All right. So the 360-degree U. Okay? And I'm going to put wholeness here. All right? Wholeness. Okay? All right. So so now we're at the third dimensional self. which is the discover you. Okay. Okay. So to discover you, right? In the other in the predetermined you, you have the knowing you is always illuminated. The star you is always illuminated. Okay. The star you is always knowing. So you always have that aspect of you, right? That eternal flame is always there. There's always a knowing that is always present, okay, within you. All right, the unforgotten self that chose to descend to the forgotten self, okay? The forgotten self. Okay. That's the forgotten self is here. The being self, right, is the unforgotten self, which is the being, right? This stage right here, between the third and the fifth, is the remembrance. Okay? So between your third, fourth, and fifth state, okay, and your sixth state, like between these states, is going to be the remembrance. Okay? It's going to be the remembrance. Thank you, Kazi. Thank you, Kazi. It's going to be the remembrance. This is the remembrance phase. So I don't know if you guys are able to see it, but let me know if you guys are able to see it. But right here between between starting here, like right above in the higher octaves of the third dimensional self, an awakening state. This is like your awakening state. Okay, so this is going to be from here, it's going to be remembrance. Okay, and then from here, like in your fifth dimensional state, you're going to migrate into your being. Okay, when you get to your sixth dimensional arc, when your sixth dimensional state up into your seventh, that is full knowing. Okay. Okay. So remembrance is temporary. Okay. It's phases. It's remembrance. It's temporary. It's energetic. It's an evolutionary aspect to migrate yourself out of the forgotten self. But it's energetic. It's energy that gets you out of that awakening state. You go into the remembered state. When you get into your fifth dimensional self, you begin to be. Okay. Because now by the time you get into enough of the coordinates, energetic coordinates of remembrance, you are now migrating and vibrating out of survival, out of the survival state of being. Okay? Because my goal is to get you guys to understand how to shift out of the survival state. But I want you guys to have a sense of comprehension at some degree of how, all of this kind of somewhat works together, how it kind of how it's cohesive, so that you can have some sense of foundation of how you are evolving, how this kind of evolutionary process goes. So when I break it down energetically, goes down, goes from the third dimension, so I can start breaking down how the energy goes now. You're understanding from the third dimensional self to the fourth dimensional self, the fifth dimensional self, because I'm gonna break it down to the lowest common denominator. But I want you guys to understand how the particular shifts goes energetically from one aspect of the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So when you begin to hear the stories and different things of that nature, you'll begin to understand its energetic coherence of where you, and then you'll be able to determine of where does this fit with me energetically in coherence, where I am shifting to be, because this has a lot to do with your health. This has a lot to do with your wealth. This has a lot to do with your prosperity. This has a lot to do with how your energy feel correlates. It has a lot to do with a lot of things, and you'll begin to have more of a better energetic hygiene in terms of how you are energetically responding. You'll begin to shift out of reacting into how you are responding. You'll be able to learn how to not absorb certain energetic fields. All of this is going to begin because it's now I'm showing how to manage your energy, so that you now can be able to your nervous system can now properly calibrate. Okay, now, because you're beginning to understand the proper coherences of how this actually goes. You're going to have a plethora of stories and different things of that nature. And you're going to remember, in the third dimension, it's full of chaos and confusion. So you're going to have a plethora of so many different variations of things, but you're not going to know how to categorize it. You're not going to know how to organize it. It's just going to be thrown at you. And remember, you've been in so much chaos and confusion. You got a whole lot of frequency containers, and they're all over the place. But now it's time to structure it in the proper way you want to create. So you first got to understand, how do you want to create? How do you want your seventh, uh your your eighth, seventh, and sixth self? How do you now want to create? Because when you get into your knowing self, that's where you begin to operate from. Okay, because now I'm in my knowing self. So now I done took the wheel. So now I know I'm creating from my eighth, seventh, and sixth self. Okay. But for those of you guys that has not yet kind of gotten to that space, I first got to get you to understand how to organize the energy first, so that you'll be able to create from your eighth, seventh, and sixth self. Because otherwise, you're going to continue to allow chaos and confusion to create for you by listening to all of these energy containers through stories, other people versions, other external versions creating for you, right? Because you're still operating from discovery. You're still trying to discover. So the third dimensional selves is through its discovery, the discovery of yourself through many variations of energetic containers that are out there. Okay, you're listening to different stories. Okay, which is nothing wrong with that. And all tied up, understood, all tied up, and weave your frequency. Bingo. Yes, which is nothing wrong with that, because that's the choice that the oversoul, which is your eighth dimensional self. Okay, your oversoul is the eighth dimensional self. Okay, the oversoul is your eighth dimensional self. I don't want to confuse you, but that's where that's okay. That's it's okay. I don't want nobody to think the idea for understanding of the experience in its totality is that whatever it is that we have experienced is the divine experience in itself. We just have to understand now that we are coming into the knowing of the self, right? That once you get a grip of the wheel and understand itself to be what it is, you now can navigate your experience to that to which how you, especially if you're remembering and beginning to know and form, you can now have proper energy hygiene to create the reality that you want to experience now once you get a grip of how that experience can you know matriculate itself into being. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So the unforgotten self, right, is always your ninth dimensional self. It is always the star of consciousness. Your star self is the ninth dimensional self. The third dimensional self is the forgotten self until it begins to awaken. And once it begins to awaken, it begins to rediscover itself through remembrance, the tone of remembrance. Okay? Divine remembrance. And once that tone comes into play, it ain't no reversing it. It's no reversing it. Okay, because we're going to talk about the next couple of lives and different things of that nature. We're going to talk about energy hygiene, what that looks like, because now we got to clean. We're going to have to clean up. We're going to have to clean up our energies and different things of that nature. What that looks like, why that makes people sick. People don't mean no harm of making people sick and different things of that nature. But we're going to understand what the discovery of the forgotten self has created with the distortional version of what the divine self has chosen to experience in the distorted version of self. Okay. And when the aspect of the divine self who has chosen to remember needs to do when the distorted version of self still wants to be in the midst of the aspect of the divine self that has chosen to remember. You now have to have some energy hygiene, no matter whether or not, because now you're beginning to clearly see that there's a difference in terms of that role that that person is now playing as your mother, that role that that person is now playing as your father, that role that that person is now playing as your sister or your significant other or whatever. You now, because of remembrance, understand that it's it's more than them being your child. It's more than them being your parent. It's more than that, it being your job. It is now, it's energy first. Okay, because you're remembering. Okay, because now you're coming into an awareness that is now shifting you out of the discovery of self into the remembrance of self, and then you're going to shift into the knowing of self. Once you get out of the remembrance of self into the knowing of self, then that changes the ball game altogether. You're on full energy hygiene, and you ain't gonna look at that person as your husband no more, your wife no more. You're gonna look at that person that, yeah, you on something different. And if you don't get it together, we on two different types. That's why Elon Musk don't have a lot of people around him. People think that he's being not nasty or whatever. It's not about being nasty. If you're calibrated at a different, if you're calibrated at an innovation where you have to have a certain type of energy hygiene in order to download certain types of technology at a higher frequency. You can't have dirty energy around you. Otherwise, that stagnant energy is going to block coherences. So it's not about you not wanting to be really particularly around certain people per se, but it is about you not wanting to be around certain people particularly per se because of the calibration of energy that they have that could potentially uh, create stagnation in terms of certain innovations that you may want to be able to download and bring into form. When you don't understand, when you begin to know energy in terms of your arc and your architect and your sixth dimensional self. And let me stop me when I if I'm sounding a little bit too out there. But when you begin to understand your arc of creation, your sixth dimensional self, and what you want to crystallize into form, right? And knowing, yeah, you're gonna have some energy hierarchies. You ain't gonna have everybody around you. You will probably be more by yourself than having certain people around you. Because if you are in creation mode and you want to bring certain high vibrational information into form, you can't have dirty density energy around you to stagnate that particular type of technology that you want, that higher vibrational essence of technology that you want to bring into fruition or you want to align with energetically. Okay, that's the thing. So however you want to, when you begin to author your reality and you're operating now from knowing, because you are out of the you're out of your third dimensional, fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional self, and you are fully aware and you're out of the remembrance and you are actually architecting from a higher dimensional self. It changes the game. But we're going to get there. We're going to get to the understanding, overstanding of the knowing. So therefore, you're going to begin. For those who are, listen, if you are here in these lives, okay, if you are here in these lives, okay, you are ready to ascend to your fifth dimensional self and you are ready to ascend past the remembrance aspect of self. You are ready to move into the essence of the knowing, and you are ready to get you past the phase of the discovery aspect of self. That's why you're here, and that's why this whiteboard came into fruition so that I can give a visual concept so that you can be able to see it. Okay, you guys are visuals, so that's why you're here. Okay, so when you get to it's energy hygiene is very important, and you're going to begin to see the energy of the being more so or less than that the being of themselves. And a lot of times you're going to realize that they don't mean any harm. They don't mean any harm. That's just their broadcast. That's why this series, this whiteboard series, is going to be what are you broadcasting? Because a lot of times they could just be sitting in the middle and not doing anything, but because they're not saying anything, doesn't mean that they're not broadcasting. Because whatever they're tuned into in terms of their thought process, what they're thinking, their problems, their situation, their belief system, that's still a channel. They're still tuned into a channel of how they're understanding their relative reality, how they're understanding their now moment, their belief systems, their problems. If they're in an understanding of a scarcity mindset, what bills they got to pay, what their love life look like, who they're in love with, the rejection factor, what they went through when they was 10 years old. They could be sitting there and not saying a word or not doing anything to anybody, and their field is still broadcasting a vibrational essence that could either be making you sick. They can either be radiation, or they can either be radiation, which is toxic, or they can be radiant, which is healing. Okay. Kaz says, like when I'm writing, I need my muse aligned with or nothing else. Right? Yes, we see the pure you. Yes, I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you. And yes, Kaz. Yeah, so always think about, even if they're not saying a word, They can either be radiation or radiant. They can either be broadcasting toxicity or they could be broadcasting something that is healing. Okay? And that's energy hygiene. And they don't mean, sometimes people do have some intentions where they do mean harmful, but some people, they don't mean any harm because it's what they have internalized as their truth in the experience. And this is what they've tuned into in the discovery of self. Because remember, the forgotten self is tuning in what they have discovered in their discovery of self, what they believe within themselves. Because remember, they don't remember in the truth of the knowing until they get the tone to awaken. Once they get the tone to awaken, then now they're going to start getting the tone of remembrance. Okay? It's not until they get the tone of remembrance, then that's when that tone of the forgotten self is going to begin to dissolve. So that's why you can't impose on anybody that has not yet gotten that tone to um to awaken. You can't impose because they have to have that tone of that frequency tone within their container that is going to come to illuminate their being in order for them to begin to awaken, and then they'll get the tone, right, to begin to remember. Okay, the tone to remember is when they're going to get into the higher octave of the third dimensional self. The higher octave of the third dimensional self. You cannot force the higher octave of the third dimensional self. Yes, they're going to be unaware until the frequency tone they commence themselves, and this is why you can't judge. People do judge, but I've gotten into a place of understanding where it took a while. Mr. Over knows in my journey, I just didn't get to this space. I went through the rigor and the Monroe, you know. I had to go through what I went through to get into this space of clarity and understanding. Because in my journey of the discovery, when I was in the discovery, I was judging because that was where I was in the unaware state of being, the judgment for the divine self, because that's where we were. But then when I got into the remembrance, as I began to remember, it changed. Okay, because you're now ascending energetically where a lot of the judgment and everything starts to dissolve because you're beginning to ascend and embody more light. And as you begin to embody more crystalline light, that density starts to dissolve, right? Hi, T Love. Hi, beautiful. Gratitude for your presence. Thank you for divinely tuning into my frequency. I got 3 devices rolling. You are, baby, you are so fine. You're never late. You are on time. You are on time, beautiful. You're on time. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have you. Okay. So it dissolves. So as you embody more light, okay, those judgments of others and those negative ideologies that you have towards other beings, they will dissolve. Okay, they will dissolve eventually because the more light you begin to embody, as you become more aware of the divine self, it doesn't, it's incoherent. Okay, it's incoherent. Okay, so the energy hygiene will start to begin to take more of a commencement than that to which we understood the divine self in a more denser state of being. Okay, so this is for us to get ourselves out of the the state of the the aspect of the unaware self, right? The forgotten self, right? Or the discovery of self, which is the third dimensional self. The discovery of self is a plethora of things. It's chaos and it's confusion. It's where everything and its mama, daddy, sister, brother, is out there for you to try to discover yourself, to tune yourself to what is more resonant. Because remember, the third dimensional self is where the story is being written for you. So you're trying to find yourself through others. You're trying to mirror yourself through others. You're looking at other people and you're saying, yes, that resonate. Yes, that resonate through other beings to discover yourself, because you have not yet found yourself in the eighth, seventh, and sixth, which is the author of self, where you're now writing your story because you know thyself. You're in the knowing of self. So in the discovery of self, you're trying to find yourself through other versions of yourself through mirroring. You're mirroring through me. You're mirroring through cause. You're mirroring through T Love. You're mirroring through Mr. Overett. You're mirroring through books. You're mirroring through a movie. You're mirroring through music and lyrics, which is nothing wrong with that. I want you to understand, overstand that there is no judgment in the mirroring of self. Because remember, the ninth dimensional you ain't going nowhere. That is the eternal flame that is the plasma you that never ends. It never dissipates. It's always knowing. That is where the remember the 3 to 6 and the 9, the 360-degree U, the 3 and the 6 equal 9. So when it brings you back to your 0 point self, which is wholeness, which when you add the 3 and the 6 is the ninth dimensional you, which is knowing. So you will always return back to the ninth dimensional you to which you began, right? That is the completion. But in that 0 point, the completion, right? It's still a never-ending story. It never ends. It's just that you completed one round to begin a next, right? The universal self. Yes. Yes. You will never for you the unforgotten self is always knowing. Always knowing. And like I say, this formula that this what are you broadcasting the 360-degree you? This formula that I'm giving you guys, you will be able to fit any narrative, any story, any situation, people, place, person, or thing. You will be able to fit it in anything. You'll be able to fit into this, because what I'm doing here is going to afford you energy hygiene, energetic hygiene. By the time I'm done with this series, this whiteboard series of the three, what are you broadcasting? The 360-degree you. By the time I'm done with this, you guys should be good and ready to ascend in your fifth dimensional self. Okay? You'll be able to understand that your wealth, who you are, your wealth dial, how that is to be moved. It's not about the money in the way that you guys understand the money to be. Because we're going to move in a shift. It's going to be an energy shift that puts you into where you want to be energetically, monetarily, vibrationally, and in frequency. Not that hustle and that flow. We're going to shift. And I'm going to bring clarity to that aspect of being. Okay? Um, right? So the discovery of self, the third dimensional self, is the discovery of the forgotten self. Okay? That is not going to go anywhere until they get that to the aspect of the divine self, get that beacon and signal. Okay? To awaken that tone, that frequency tone, right? You can't force that on into anyone. That has to be an open container. They have to be willing to be ready to be open to receive. Okay. Most times, 9 times out of 10, the discovery self is going to be the who, what, when, where, why. They're going to ask questions. They're going to question the reality. And when they are ready, that's when they're going to discover themselves and such. And the shift will commence in that way. Okay. Um, that's pretty much how that goes. You can't force it. All right. Now, when you get to the higher octave of the third dimensional self, into the essence of the remembrance of the awakening of self, into the remembrance of self. This is where we go through the most turbulence within the fourth dimensional self, because now you're dealing with your nervous system, and your nervous system is your fourth dimensional you, where your emotional self with your nervous system is trying to calibrate the energy. Okay, it's trying to calibrate the energy where you're getting now the signals from your seventh, eighth, and sixth dimensional self, right? And it's trying to calibrate the energies that you're getting from your higher self to bring into form, right? The signal that you're getting from your higher self, right? Into this position here, right? Between the third dimensional self and the fourth dimensional self. Okay. And that's where we're going to begin to kind of focus on how to understand energy hygiene. And I gave you guys an example of um T Love said we are the universe. Universe. Yes, your universe. You are the creator of your reality by how you understand it. And I don't know if you were in here, T Love. I gave an example so that you guys can understand. I gave an example um that was very pure. It was a pure example that you can have a being that is just sitting down and calm and not giving any, not giving any problems. They're not giving any problems, and they're just sitting down calm, and they can just be thinking among themselves. And if you can imagine them sitting in a park, and they're sitting by themselves, right? So you're broadcasting. And this is why the title is What Are You Broadcasting? You may not be saying a word, but because you're sitting there, you're still broadcasting. You're still beaconing. You're still beaconing a signal. You're still boom, boom, boom. And one may say, well, how am I still broadcasting if I'm not saying anything? Because even though you're not saying anything, you're still energy. So you might be thinking about, what am I cooking for dinner? What is my significant other is doing? Is he out there cheating? Is he out there doing stuff? Is he out there spending? Oh, I gotta pay these bills. Oh, my rent is due. I wish I was this. Oh, when is things going to get better? But you might be sitting there, and you might have your phone or device, and you might be scrolling. Depending on what you're scrolling, you might be scrolling chaos and confusion. Somebody might be fighting, and you may be drawn to somebody fighting and chaos and confusion, but you're not saying a word. But your resonance may be somebody fighting in chaos and confusion and war, and you watching politics and black on black crime, but you may not be saying a word, right? You may not be saying a word, but you broadcast it. You beacon it. You broadcast it. Okay? Beacon. Boo, 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 boo. You beacon it. That's your broadcasting. But you by yourself. But you broadcast it. Okay? You broadcast. So you can either be radiation or you could be radiant. You could be toxic energy broadcasting, or you could be a healing energy broadcasting. And some people may not be intentionally doing these things to hurt anybody, but energetically, because of their discovery of self and what they have adopted into their belief system as true, Black people is, we're the most this and that, and we're victims, and I'm a victim, and they believe this experience to be a true experience, which places them in victim consciousness, which places them in a survival state, which all of these lower bandwidths of belief. They don't mean no harm, but because they're in the discovery state and they haven't gotten the awakening cue, they haven't gotten the awakening tone. That's what they're broadcasting. They don't mean any harm, but that's what they're broadcasting. That's what they're beaconing energetically. The point of knowing, we know, but they don't understand. Right. They don't mean any harm because they have not yet chosen to awaken. They have not yet chosen to remember. Okay. They don't mean any harm, but they're still operating from a denser state of being. Then you have some beings that claim that they're woke. They claim that they're woke, but they're cloaked, right? They're cloaked in a denser state of remembrance, right? They're cloaked in you know, we're the chosen, and we are the, you could feel the density of the separation, right? They're cloaked in they're veiled. Spirituality cloaked in separation, spirituality cloaked in violence, spirituality cloaked in aggression, spirituality cloaked in anger. Anger is of the lower density. It's not to say that it's wrong, but it's where it energetically resides. It's not to say that it's wrong because it's viable. It's a valuable experience. So where does it energetically reside? They don't mean no harm, but it's the discovery of the self in the forgotten self, where the story is being written for them to discover themselves in the forgotten self. They still want to experience that aspect of the divine self, the ninth dimensional consciousness, and knowing still that aspect of the divine self still wants to explore itself in discovery. So if that aspect of the divine self still wants to explore itself in discovery, it's not for me to say you need to ascend. No, because that aspect of the divine self says no. I still want to play. I still want to discover. I still want to discover myself in the third dimensional level of consciousness. Okay, it's not for anybody to judge when when the full aspect of consciousness is ready to say, okay, in totality I am ready eh, to bring myself in wholeness of all exclusive. It'll dissolve the human experience and bring the human experience into itself and ascend it itself into an aspect of being in coherence. It will. But until it does that, we're not to judge an aspect of the divine self that still wants to explore the forgotten self. I'm doing exactly what I'm doing. For those that are ready to ascend in the aspect of itself, it will gravitate. Resonance will bring those who are ready to be in the space, vibrational space. Yes, mentally. The point of knowing, we know, but they don't understand. They are source, yep, and want to experience. Yes, they are source and want to experience. Yes, cause. Yes. And if I'm delayed, it's because I'm logged in as on one of my own accounts, because I can't see it on um when I'm using through StreamYard, because I'm broadcasting through StreamYard, you guys, so that you guys can see it the right way. So I'm broadcasting through StreamYard. Okay. All right. So when you understand it from that perspective, okay, right? This is a part of energy. What I'm explaining here to you is a part of energetic hygiene. And I'm going to repeat again, a part of energy hygiene is like, I'm gonna use I'm gonna use an example again. uh Allegedly, let me put it out there, allegedly, for the entire video, both on YouTube as well as Instagram, because I don't know these people, I've never experienced these people. All of this information is heavily alleged because I've never experienced these people. um like for Elon Musk, as I said. Okay, a lot of people say, "Oh, he doesn't, be around a lot of people, blah blah blah, X, Y, and Z," and he's very meticulous about who he is around and different things of that nature. And he doesn't, do. He's very meticulous about who he, allows to interview him and different things of that nature. And a lot of people are saying that, he's blah blah blah, and it's a reason behind that, because if you are an innovator and you are about bringing highly innovative technology into a dense reality, yes, you have to be very specific about who you energetically engage with, because high level of technology to be created and formed, you can't you can't engage with dense, a denser level of being if you want high energetic technology to be created to come in form, because higher evolved technology deal in there is in higher octaves of light. So you have to be energetically accessible to that. And you cannot be dwelling in the lower densities if you're trying to bring innovative technology into form. You have to be clear, you have to be coherent, energetically coherent, in order to bring higher octaves, or even align with beings energetically, or come into alignment with beings that are calibrated energetically, that you can associate and assimilate with, to bring those types of codes, uh, energetic codes, into alignment, to be able to crystallize into the eighth, seventh, and sixth dimensional selves, to bring it into fifth dimensional form, to be expressed in the third dimensional realm. Okay, fifth or the third dimensional realm. So you literally have to stay clear of media, and certain beings if you want to bring certain innovative technology into form. That's why you don't really see a lot of beings or tech beings, bring themselves into visibility, because they don't. You'll see the product, but you won't see the being. You won't know. You don't see a lot of the beings that are behind the scene, that are bringing the innovation into form, because they can't. They don't want to be a part of that energy, because that they can't associate and assimilate with the energy. The product will probably make it out there, because they want the consumer. They want the consumerism of the third dimensional consumerism. But the innovation of the beings that are bringing the blueprints into the materialization, now you ain't seeing them people. You're not seeing the techno aspect of the beings. Now you ain't seeing those people. Okay, those beings you're not seeing. Okay, because it's energetic coherence. And those are the metaphysical practices that many people at the third dimensional level of consciousness are not privileged to understand, it's not the fact that you're not privileged to understand it, it's just because you're in survival state and you're in the consumer's aspect of being, is that that's just not on your mind. You're trying to survive. You're just trying to survive. That's all. It's not that it's not afforded to you. It's that you're in discovery. You're in the forgotten state, and you're in the discovery of self. And so therefore that's not, you're not energetically accessible to where the technology is energetically at. Resonance is the key. Now, where you might be energetically accessible, where you're not worried about, certain things, when you go to sleep at night, when you're dreaming. But how many times people write down their dreams? Because the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, you're worried about your problems, and you don't really. You might sometimes think about, you had a dream and you dreamed about this thing, but sometimes the worthiness of yourself, because you're in the reality of discovery. Sometimes people don't even think that they might have a miraculous dream, and sometimes they might even think that they're worthy of that miraculous dream, and they don't write down the dream. But some people do. Some people do. Because some people like, I want to get the hell up out of here. And I'm going to take this dream and take it to the next level, because they know that this might be their ticket out of that situation. And they do, some people do take that dream and know that this got to be their ticket out, because they want their ticket out and they're holding on to it. But then some people, they don't take that dream and make it their way out or what have you. Okay. So sometimes there is a way out, and your higher mind can put it through a dream. When you relax, your nervous system is relaxed, and you could tune into a higher vibrational self to attune into codes that will assist you into the third dimensional realm. Okay, but we're gonna get into the deep side of it. Like I said, this board here is gonna be, it's the whiteboard series into the third dimensional you, to help you transition out of the third dimensional you. By the time we're done, we're going to be into our fifth dimensional selves, at least an understanding of it. It's still up to you to recalibrate your nervous system through breath work, grounding yourself, going outside, walking, in the dirt, in the sand, taking your breath work, breathing, just taking a deep breath, calming your mind, walking away from all of the responsibilities, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Just say, you know what, 10 minutes, 20 minutes out of the day, whatever you're going through, it just does not exist for just that moment. Okay? It just does not exist for that moment. Okay? It doesn't exist for that moment. All right? Yes, you have to take away time, and you have to take away time and say that, and if you haven't been told this, you're being told it now. Tell yourself that if your life is not the way that you're desiring it for it to be, and it's nowhere near that you desiring it for it to be, two things. Say to yourself, I'm grateful for what it is. Okay, you have life, you find the points of your life that you are grateful for. Gratitude is the biggest thing. Find in your life what you are grateful for. Okay, I'm grateful for life, I'm grateful for health, I'm grateful for strength, I'm grateful for this experience, I'm grateful for being in the discovery of self. The thing about being in this space, I understand that now at this position, I understand that this is just an experience. So now I'm more grateful for just being able to be in this experience, even though the density of the experience can sometimes be extremely heavy and different things of that nature. But I understand that it's an experience, right? I'm not as attached to the experience. So I can learn from the experience, and I'm more open to the experience, and I'm able to choose and different things of that nature. But I'm at a different calibration of energy now to appreciate the experience, even in its denser state of being. So I'm at a different calibration. But there are those that has not yet gotten to this space of appreciation, even in the density, that can't stand the experience. And I once was there. So I have compassion and understanding for those that are there, because I once was there and I couldn't stand the shit, to be honest. I was like, oh my God, like, I understand. And that's one of the greatest things about, being in a space, because I've been there. I've been there. I can identify. And it wasn't that long ago. It's not like it wasn't not that long ago, you guys. It wasn't that long ago. Okay. I ain't one of the ones that's been kumbaya for like 20 years ascended or whatever shit. I'm just, yeah, it wasn't that long ago, okay? All right. All right, okay, it wasn't that long ago. So I can recently relate. Okay, I can tell you what that feels like. I know what it feels like. It wasn't that long ago. All right. Um, I definitely use the time. I feel like it's source experiences. So who I am to judge, just appreciate it all. Yes, indeed, Kazi Kaz. Cos laughing. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Shit, hell, it was just last week sometime. You have your ebbs and your flows, okay? So you got somebody that understands, overstands. I have events that are still transpiring. I have a shared field of beings that are still three-dimensional minded, going through experiences and different things of that nature. So yes, and I'm still holding tone, which is not an easy thing to do, okay? Yeah, just last week, Carl. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Just last week, okay. Y'all already know. I keep it a buck over here. Shit, I keep it 1,000. All right, for real, for real, for real, on the real. Okay, so with that being the case, okay, I just want you guys to understand that. And I'm gonna do another live. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do another live this afternoon so we can more get into another third dimensional self. I do have this thing. Um, I don't know if you guys are able to see it. Let me see. Let me that I created. I be doing some work in the midst of everything, you guys. I be trying to get it in, with my grandkids and stuff like that. It's not as often as I would love to be on this platform to kind of like get it in and have these conversations with you guys. But I'm getting organized. I do got some things that are happening and stuff like that or whatever, but I still try to get it in. I get in where I can fit in. That's for sure. I get in where I can fit in. All right. So what we're going to do is like the 3D discovery of self, the observation. So what we're in right now is the observation. So I'm getting in to the essence of the observational you. Yes, so grateful for the diamonds. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you guys. And I'm just saying, like, you guys are my day ones. And you don't know how much I appreciate you guys, and that's why I spend as much money as I do to try to incorporate my YouTube family. It's hard for me to just say, "Come on over to YouTube," and just leave Instagram out. It's really hard for me to do that for some reason, and I know, a lot of folks be like, "Yeah, come on over," and it's easy, and maybe one day I will, but I just don't find it in my heart to be able to do that just yet. I just feel like when you guys tell me, okay, Patrice, we ready to go over on YouTube to make it easier for you or whatever the case may be, I'll do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm on both. Oh, okay, but not everybody is, Kazi. You know what I'm saying? And I just want when you got, when my core family say, okay, Patrice, we can go on YouTube and we'll meet you over there on YouTube. And I feel that my core family will meet me there on YouTube, which is you, Cause, Mr. Overett. Mr. Overett is always there. Cause, Mr. Overett, T Love, um, my girl, my other girl, I can't think of her name now. I'm drawing a blank. Um, she's oh goodness, now she's gonna kill me. Oh God, and I see her. um I can't think of her name now. I'm drawing a blank. Um I can't think of her name now. I can't think of her name. Golden Sugar. Um, what's I can't think of her name. Rosa. When all of you guys, like my core people, say you guys are ready to go over there, and Mary, yes, Mary. I don't know if Mary is I don't know if Mary is over there. That's the thing. I don't know if she's over there. But when my core people say, okay, y'all ready to go over there, then I'll say, okay, then yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll just do YouTube over there. But until y'all ready, when y'all all get together on there, I'll ask y'all. I'll say y'all ready to go over to YouTube, and if y'all say if y'all core people say, okay, we do one stream over on YouTube, then I'll do. I know y'all ready to YouTube, then I'll do it. But it's I always want to make it comfortable for you guys, and then you guys can let other people know on IG that I'm over there. But I always want to make it comfortable for my core people because you guys rock with me every single time, like without fail. So I'm always going to make it right for you guys, and then that's when everything else will work for you, work on its own, right? So before I go, this is what we're going to do, right? So as I say, the BNU is the sixth degree. The BNU is the sixth dimensional crystallization, the 7D creation, right? The eight dimensional intention, and the ninth dimensional pure broadcast. Now, the ninth dimensional pure broadcast is exactly what that sounds like. That's the pure dimensional you. That's the you in knowing. That's the dimensional you in knowing. And don't get it confused about the 13th dimensional self. The 13th dimensional self is really like the 0 point. That is like, that's before the dimensional self. Okay? That's the 13th dimensional you is when Source decided that it wanted to take shape and form. It wanted to go into a dimensional state of being. So that's what Source says. It wanted to be a galaxy. It wanted to be a universe. It wanted to be 13 dimensional self is when Source said it wanted to be a galaxy. It wanted to be a universe. It wanted to be a planet. It wanted to be all of this vast amount of things. Okay, that's the 13th dimensional self. Okay, right? So, but 13D. But the ninth dimensional is when now it's narrowing itself into the more complexities of what we might consider as like matrices. How are these frequencies coming together to create matrices? Okay, the frequency or the plasma. How are these plasmas coming together to create matrices? So we're going to get into it. The authorship is what changes the field. How you write the story in the frequency containers and different things of that nature. That's what changes the field. Okay. And I'm looking at the what you guys are writing here, so I don't miss anything. So if you guys don't see me talking to you guys here, it's because I'm trying to see if you guys are talking here. So I'm working with three cameras here. So if you guys or whatever. But the authorship is what your high octaves of selves is what creates the narratives, and we're going to get into that um also. Okay, but this is a thing. This is a key thing. Every time we respond in love without absorption, we raise the signal of our broadcast. Right. So, like I said, if that person that is sitting there with the phone and they're taking in what they resonate with, and if it's resonating with toxicity, when you understand that and you respond in love, like I was saying, like I told my daughter, I don't care how you feel about me, just know that your feelings about me doesn't negate how I feel about you, because I understand that this is your story. This is your choosing. And what I choose and how I choose to express and respond is my story. So not for the sake of how you is choosing to experience and express is going to deter how I'm choosing to experience and express. All I do now is draw the line, the boundary line, and say, okay, this is how you're choosing, but I'm not going to absorb how you are choosing to experience and express. Okay, so that's what that means, that you don't absorb the version of self that is choosing out of resonance to that to which you are. Instead of matching the energy and say, "Oh, you don't like me, I don't like you," I'm not gonna absorb that. I'm just gonna draw the line and maintain the integrity of who I am in truth, and be like, okay, just because of how you feel about me doesn't negate how I feel about you, right? Exactly. Her feeling or hers to deal with. Right. Exactly. Right. Okay. Right. And so, as I said, I choose to broadcast radiance and not radiation. Okay. Because you wonder why some people in your household is sick and they're not feeling well. And when they go to the doctor and different things of that nature, don't really nothing be physically wrong with them per se. Not yet. But it's because of the energy, your shared energy field. Because some beings' energy is more denser than the other. And that's the reason to be the energy around you. But we're going to get into it. If you guys want me to, do you guys want me? Because I got to go pick up my grandbaby. Do you guys want me to come back and do another live? Because I can go pick him up, get him something to eat, and I can come back and finish if you guys want me to do that. And I can do a part two. Carl says we can do that. T Love say my clients come at 2, sis, so I would have to leave then. Oh, okay. Uh oh, okay. What time does your client come? Oh, you want me to do a part two? Okay, what time are you done with your client so that I can navigate it around when you are finished? You want me to do a part two, golden sugar? Okay, I'll do a part two. What time, T, do your client when your client is finished? Yes, Mr. Overy, that they could be unaware. Yes, that's very true. Yeah, they don't have no idea. Oh, 4 p.m. Okay, so I'll come back at I'll come back at 5. Oh, 4 p.m. Oh, you'll be back at 4. Okay, so I'll come back at 5, you guys, because my son have to be at the airport. Well, maybe I might be able to do it at 4 because he has to be at the airport. His flight leave at 5. So I might be able to do 4. I might be able to do 4. Okay. Because his flight leave at 5. Okay. So all right. So I'm gonna end now, you guys, and I'm gonna come back and we're gonna get more deep into the third dimensional self and gather you guys' questions and different things of that nature, and we're gonna figure it all out. Hopefully this I'll be able to figure this banner thing out because I have no clue. Mr. Over, we're gonna have to figure this banner thing out because I don't know how the world to get this banner thing off of this thing. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right. But let me know, you guys, in the comments. Well, I don't even know if I can. I don't know if this thing can even comment or anything, but we'll figure it out. But let me know if you guys are understanding, overstanding this particular type of concept of what I'm bringing here. The 360-degree you. Are you guys understanding this particular way a lot better than the way that it's been kind of somewhat put out there in a different way? Are you guys understanding it a little bit better? Does it make a little bit more sense in this particular type of way? More palatable? Okay. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Um, okay, so I'm gonna come back around between 4 and 5. I'm gonna come around like between 4 and 5 because I gotta drop off my son, and then we're gonna dive more deep into it. So we're gonna talk about the abundance vibration, and then we're gonna talk about the being you and the discovery you, and we're gonna get more into the frequency containers of how we create in the discovery side of self and the being side of self, so that we can begin to shift, um, the fifth dimensional self, the third dimensional self into the fifth dimensional self, but understanding what that looks like from the awakening state, the remembrance state, and the being state, and what those frequency containers look like in those particular shifts. But energy hygiene, write that down, look it up. And so that way when we come back, you'll know what that energy hygiene thing looked like. And keynote, Elon Musk, okay? What that looked like. It's not all the time that people is being mean and they get rich and switch. It's not even about that. Sometimes it's resonance, it's coherence, energetic coherence. And when you begin to understand things from an energetic perspective, then you'll understand the lower mind is going to say, oh, they got rich and switch. But it's not really even that. It's because it's no longer vibrationally sound. But we're going to get into it and everything. But I love you guys. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours. And then we're going to have a continuum. All right. All right. I love you guys. I don't know how to end this live, but we're going to figure it out. This is my first time using Streamyard, you guys. So, love you guys. Later. All right, Mr. Over. I'm always calling your name like you right here. Like you right here. Okay. Mr. O, I ain't never met Mr. Over a day in my life. And I'm always calling Mr. Over name. Like he just go, here I come to save the day. I'm always calling Mr. All right. All right. Okay. So, hit the end button. Okay, you guys. I love you guys. Later. I can end the stream. And in the stream. Okay, there we go.